So hello everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, trading, delegating, broadcasting, transcoding, or AI inference. Here to ask questions and get answers. So I want to talk quickly about the AI stuff. So this topic of interest. Rick, you created a proposal. I haven't read it yet. Do you want to quickly go over kind of an overview of what the proposal is for the AI SPE and what it's what it's about.
Yeah,
This is stage 2, I guess.
yeah, 100%. So it's a follow-up on like the AI stage one retrospective that Doug posted yesterday. So in that one, it shows everything we did in the first phase of the AI history. So the main goal of that phase was to get a version 1 subnet online that which could leverage the existing protocol network architecture to perform generative AI jobs on the network and serve a small amount of customers. So now we're nearing the end of that phase and we're nearing the next phase. And in the next phase, we will be focusing more on the optimization of the network. So we know now that it works, and now we have to optimize it so that we can really scale it and get like high quality servers to more DApps there. So this proposal asks for more funds for that phase. We already have some funds left over from the last phase, but it will be mainly focused at improving the subnet and also working on onboarding more DApps and onboarding more demands, making it possible for more orchestrators to onboard on the subnet. Provide clear metrics in the process so that everybody can decide which models they want to support with the orchestrators, refine the pricing structure, and enhance transparency around the pricings that we have. And apart from that, expand model capabilities, pipeline capabilities, and foster more open source contributions to the AI subnet. So it's quite long, but I can go into depth if people have questions. Or not long. So.
Very good. No, that's amazing. I'm glad to see that we're on to stage 2. So it sounds like, is stage 1 complete then? You would say you'd tick off that milestone as got a working subnet that kind of completes that milestone?
Yeah, so stage 1 is complete, apart from the fact that we still have to do some documentation things. So we're planning to release it to the public on the 24th of May. And before that, we're planning to improve the documentation further so everybody can onboard easier and with the feedback, of course, of you guys. But after that, it basically is done. And we start working on again making it even better, faster. For example, the selection algorithm, we want to improve that further so we can handle more jobs on the subnet. And of course, add new pipelines there.
Excellent. I have a question around concurrent AI jobs, how we kind of plan on handling that. So right now, like obviously I just updated the Docker container so that selection algorithm is accurate. It can handle, distribute the jobs based on availability of jobs. So obviously there's not many people in the subnet, and so I overloaded it. Are we going to have the gateway just return that there is no jobs available, and so that the DApp builders can create types of redundancy and retrying, or are we going to allow the gateway to handle queuing jobs and waiting for the jobs to get pushed through available compute on the net?
Yeah, very good question. So the last weeks, I really dive in very deeply in the selection algorithm. Together with Brett, we looked at it a little bit. I wrote down all the issues that are still, or issues not really because it works, but improvements that still can be made. So for example, the first one that you mentioned there is what do we do when we don't have enough capacity? So currently, we allow the gateway to queue it in a sense for 2 seconds. But we're planned to provide the gateway with a way to, or at least the client, the DApp, to say, I'm happy to wait, for example, for 20 seconds before finding an orchestrator, or my maximum request time there is 60 seconds, so that then they get feedback quicker and they can go to a failover server. Apart from that, we have some failover servers running in the subnet, and we will scale them down if more orchestrators join the subnet.
Right. And then as for introspective, things like right now we have Marco has put together a nice dashboard where we can see introspective details from Livepeer Inc.'s broadcaster, which gives us, details on, global demand, and it gives us a better idea of how to maybe look at the resources deploying. Are there going to be introspective kind of ways we can look at gateways on the types of models they're using, how often they're using them, these kinds of things? Is that kind of built in, or is that going to be opt-in? Like how do we doing that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we have been already exploring this idea because, of course, as long as we don't have a recommender system, an algorithm that probabilistically, for example, recommends orchestrators which models to run, we need to provide some information to orchestrators which models they should run. And more importantly, also for the DApps, they need to know which models are on the network, what's the latency for the model, so they can decide how they want to build their DApps on the network. So we are planning, it's also in the proposal, to have two metrics around pricing and metrics around model usage, latency, and for example, model usage, latency, orchestrators on the network. Yeah, so all those metrics we are planning to make them visible for the network to see. And the first one we have been starting to work on is the fees already. So you can see how many fees are there on the network and which model jobs are there performed.
Okay, so what you're saying is is there going to be an automatic, like a programmable recommendation of models where the orchestrator will hot load models based on the recommendation of gateways, or is this going to be still a manual process that orchestrators have to look at the metrics and want to switch out models?
So in the first phase, that's the phase that the proposal is now proposing. Then it will be more like you can see online which models are being used and you can decide on that. But apart in that phase, we are also planning to speed up the container load times so that you can load more warm models, have less warm models, and you can also have more cold models warm, so you can serve more requests. For example, I have quickly implemented the Whisper model in our pipelines. And that one is a model that can be served warm because it loads within less than 2 seconds on the GPU, and then it executes also in 1 second. So there are a lot of possibilities to improve it also from the container loading side. But to answer your question, like a model recommender system for orchestrators, that will be farther ahead, not in this phase. So we're now mainly focusing at making the metrics available. But in the future, I can see that there is such an algorithm, or for example, that the gateway requests certain models based on the type of request that it gets from the network is since in some kind of warm signal. But that are phases that are further ahead and that have not been fully developed.
Right. So just to get this straight, so there's going to be an ability to have maybe multiple warm models loaded into an orchestrator. Is this based on some models are smaller and some are larger, and so you could kind of like cram two of them in there in parallel, or are they actually swapping out? Like how does warming two models work?
So to make a clear distinction for the people that have not read the documentation or haven't heard it earlier, so we have two kinds of models in the subnet. We call them warm models and we call them cold models. So the warm models, the only thing it's saying is that the orchestrator already loaded the weights of the model on the GPU. The result of that is that it's a lot faster because you don't need to load it on the GPU. The cold model is dynamically loaded. It's already done like that. So if you specify models cold, it will dynamically load it depending on the model. It depends how long it takes to load it on there and do the inference request. And currently it's a little bit naive. So if you get another model, it will unload it. But we are also looking at improving two things here. First, it will be beneficial that you don't immediately unload like a cold model, but only after a certain period because you can get another request. The other thing is that you might want to have two models on one GPU if you have a bigger GPU. It's one of the things we are aiming at tackling because if you have server GPUs or data centers that want to offload their capacity at off time onto the Livepeer network, it's really it's needed that they can load multiple models on one GPU because, for example, the 800, the biggest one, I think has 188 gigabytes. So it's really a waste if you can only load one model. So two things, more models on one GPU. For the consumer cards, it's a little bit trickier because they have less GPU. For example, if you have a 16 gigabyte RAM card, there are not a lot of models that can be loaded multiple on there. But if you have bigger GPUs, you can. The second thing is that we want to improve like the loading speeds. For example, now we load it from SSDs, but you can also see that you can load it from RAM, for example, or even closer to the GPU memory.
And that being said, say if you had a 24 gig, 4090, you could then still load, and say text to image is the most highest demand. You could load two different text to image models probably on a 24 gig card, right?
Yeah, currently you can, but I would not advise it because with the SD Turbo can do it because I think it's around 8 gigabytes normally, right, Titan?
Right.
Yeah, so then you could do two because you have enough bandwidth. I would not try to do more because I saw it go to 10 already. So,
Yeah.
but for example, Whisper is smaller, I think, and that can do it. You can maybe load less, but I'm not sure. I can check if Whisper is smaller. But I thought it was.
Yeah, so there's a potential that, if you really wanted to squeeze all the revenue out of a GPU, you could load a 16 gigabyte, image to video model and then a 4 gigabyte Whisper model, and therefore kind of those last 4 to 6 gigs would at least available for you rather than maybe being wasted, not being available.
Exactly. So the first thing we're gonna do is focus on server GPUs because they have a lot more RAM, and like you cannot do this easily by just saying I want to load it on GPU because you have to do some estimation of how big the model will get to get on GPU, and you have to ensure that you not overload the GPU there, or you have a way to unload and reload if something goes wrong there. So there's a lot of technical things that we still have to implement there, but that's meant for in this state.
Very cool. That's exciting. I'm
Yeah.
yeah. This idea of concurrent jobs and is very important because as we scale and as dApps want to come online, it's going to be great if we get dApps, but if they start getting, if their dApp goes viral, we're going to want to have a very robust concurrent and fallback and useful way of handling these type of jobs, and also a good interface for telling the dApp that maybe it is overloaded, so they're not waiting or having a hard time with the network. They can at least get immediate feedback that, hey, listen, like there's just not enough capacity. So either find your own fallback or maybe come to the community and figure out how we can increase capacity.
Yeah, so you hit the hammer on the nail there. So that's what the optimization phase, so the next phase, is all about. Getting this network optimized for handling more production-ready loads there.
I'd like to also ask about handling multiple GPUs in with one orchestrator. So right now we have the ability to load multiple GPUs into one orchestrator and AI runner node. Are we going to have the same setup as the orchestrator and transcoder setup, where you can have, a standalone orchestrator and a standalone transcoder, and the jobs get routed through the orchestrator and sent to the transcoder on behalf of the orchestrator? Would we have it set up where we have standalone orchestrators that accept the AI job and then hand it off to one of its connected AI workers, and therefore you can have pools and different ways of managing the resource of connecting all your compute power to one address? Is that kind of the plan?
Yeah, so that's basically the network setup. We have orchestrators here. Then you don't have transcoders, of course, but we call them now worker nodes. So you can connect in the end multiple worker nodes to one orchestrator to do the job inside a runner container. So that's like the whole pipeline down. And I have not experimented myself with it, but maybe I think Brett has maybe a setup already where he has one orchestrator and several workers, but I'm not really sure. But that's the main idea in the end.
Excellent. So it'll be familiar for orchestrators that are currently running, type of their systems to go, oh, this is a standalone orchestrator. I can hand this off to different transcoders and different AI workers, and you can manage your resources that way without having to do all this complex stuff of managing certain DNS configurations to send it to different locations. Kind of send all the work to one on-chain address. From there, you can have the orchestrators can decide on how custom they want their resource.
Yeah, exactly. So Brett just commented in the chat, his microphone is not working, that he does have that setup. So it's already working with current
Hey,
stuff.
Titan. Now it's working.
There you go.
I do have that set up, but I think it's a little more on the fringes right now. I'm probably driving Rick a little crazy because I keep pushing the envelope on things. But it is possible. There's some stuff to still work out with that, but it is possible. It's
Wait.
very similar to like an external transcoder, probably what you have set up with your pool, where the orchestrator will connect to an IP address port combo, and it should work from there.
Wait, Brad, is what you're saying is you're on the fringes? Really? No way.
I'm pushing Rick. Yes, he's trying to make this nice and working and documented and thought out, and I am pushing at the front.
There you go.
He is shooting pull requests before I ask.
Yeah, I have like a standing draft that I keep changing and updating.
Wonderful. Right. Okay, so that kind of answers my question around concurrent AI jobs, kind of the scalability of the subnet. Any more comments or questions on the scalability or stage 2 of the AI SPE?
So I think I made most of the comments already. I probably forgot some, but yeah, mostly the selection algorithm, that one can be improved. I can talk a little bit about it. So we got it stable currently, but currently how it works is that first it's selection orchestrated based on the criteria we already know. So for example, stake. Now I forgot the other items in there. Blackout, but the original transcoding algorithm. So after that, if it has a known orchestrator, it will look at the latency for the orchestrator based on how quickly it did in the inference job. And then based on that, it will always decide to use the quickest orchestrator. So there's one thing that can be improved there, because then after you know all the latencies from all the orchestrators, you don't look at, for example, stake anymore. So you can see that that's not really beneficial. So there are some improvements we already have draft out to make, for example, a selection from the 20 fastest orchestrators there, and still use, after you have the known settings, maybe the fastest latency within a range there. So, and apart from that, you can see currently we should job at orchestrators. Another optimization would, for example, be maybe to have orchestrators pull jobs, but that will be a real architecture overdo. But there are a lot of things that we still can fix and improve in the selection algorithm. I have a whole list of things here.
Where's the data latency stored for this? That is it in the gateway storing that information?
Yes, it's in the gateway. So it's
Yeah,
under,
it's
I think.
Saves to the session, similar to what transcoding does. Then you can get it through that endpoint I sent you earlier. You can see it. It's in milliseconds, or it's not in milliseconds anymore. It's time per pixel, right, Rick?
Yeah, so latency is a calculation based on the seconds divided by a formulation that we defined based on like the pipeline. So for example, the easiest one is the text to image. It will be divided by the number of output pixels. So that formula still also can be refined, but this is the starting point.
And does it do it text to image as a single job type, regardless of model? I just haven't looked at the endpoint, sorry. So, or is it model specific as well?
Each capability, like each model ID, is its separate selector. So you'll have latency for each, like text image, ByteDance, text image, RealViz will be different.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. And sorry, one last thing. And is that's persistent through like if you restart your gateway, or
No.
it starts over if you restart your gateway? Okay, got it.
Rick, how do you feel about it for being persistent if you restart?
I have not really thought about it.
Me
we
either
can
yet.
do that. But
This is
then I
really
think
just kind of curiosity thing.
yeah, but I would do that if we had a better selection there. So for example, if you now have only the fastest orchestrated there, I would not yet do that, I think. But if we, for example, have the 20% fastest and you select based on that, then it will be really beneficial to have that data already before the orchestrator is started. So these are things that still have to work out a little bit, and we will have an architectural meeting on it to see what really is the best solution for the selection algorithm to get it really optimized in states.
Any thoughts about possibly doing any like something like they do with the transcoding, sending out are those test streams that you send out used for that to just I guess it would be specific to the gateway, which one returns the fastest?
So
I
that
was wondering
logic,
if there's a way to use a test.
yeah, so that logic is already in the code. It uses the same tester endpoint, but we don't have that tester running yet. But my tester is something different. It will just look at metrics and see how many fails. Just to give me a sense of how the network is operating. But we are planning to maybe have such a tester also running, and then you will also get a score taken into account in the selection algorithm.
I'm interested in keeping my eye on that. Thank you.
So if there are any questions on AI stuff, so I can talk for ages about all the little technical details, but I think I will bore people out a lot. So, but if there are any questions on the proposal or the AI subnet in general, let me know. And if you could give your feedback on the proposal, but it's a pre-proposal still, that would be really appreciated.
Yeah, I haven't had time to read it yet. I just saw it like right before this was starting, so I have it pulled up to go through it personally, but we'll definitely be going through it.
Yeah, I posted a little bit too how do you call it? Close before this chat. Sorry for that.
That's okay. It's good. Sometimes it's actually better because you get to ask questions and then have more context when you go to read it. So, no, it's good. Either way. Excellent. Yeah, about the AI jobs. Any more questions around the AI jobs in general? I guess my other question is around the just the amount of models we're port. Is this something that that Rick, just in your opinion, or Brad, or anyone else who's developing a DApp on top of this, do you see this as being a platform where we have support for many different models, or is this something we're going to be, likely highly concentrated on the best model and applying that the most? How do we see that going forward, and then how are we optimizing for each of the brands?
So yeah, we have two phases here. So the first phase that the proposal is about is the network optimization phase that will run until the 1st of August, and then a little bit later than that, I think the 15th of, let me double check that. The 15th of September. So in that phase, we will make sure that there are more models can be on the network. So our pipelines will be more general. So currently we support the diffusion model. But there are some models that have distinctive characteristics that cannot get it readily applied already, for example, the text to image. So we want to make that part, we want to fix it so that you can, any model that's based on this diffusion model pipeline can be run there. That's the first part. After that, there's another point, that's the collaboration point in the proposal, foster open source collaboration. We want to make it as easy as possible for anybody to think of there and implement their pipeline and models on the Livepeer network. So how we plan to do that is by writing good documentation, having a clear feedback loop with the community. For example, you can see groups, hacker groups, where you can ask me questions about it, what you want to add in there. And also maybe video tutorials, and making the pipelines more general so it's easier to add a pipeline or model. It's already quite easy, but you have to understand the repository there first. So if we make like a pull request that you can base it on, and you have an ID, and you only have to fill in the initialization and then the call metrics or method, and then you can run your own model or pipeline and put it on the network. That's what we're planning in this phase. So after that, you have the network expansion phase, and that's interesting because then we are looking at how can we, for example, run more custom containers on the network maybe. So that's another challenge. So in this phase, it will be mainly making our pipelines more general, having all the documentations and tools for people to add their own pipelines onto the network and models, have a bounty program there for people developing on the network. That will be in this phase. And after that, we will look where we go from there. But Livepeer's mission is still around this video related, audio related, media related content there. So less than, for example, Akash that's going for the full compute everything on their network. Also, because I think that's an area we can shine, because it links nicely with the transcoding pipelines that are already there. For example, the Wisdom model that I added last weekend, you could see it being used, for example, for transcoding to use these captions there. And there are a lot of other nice models that we can use to really support this transcoding, this open video infrastructure of the future.
Great. Yeah, wonderful. That's really good. Just some quick feedback, Rick. I on my app, I'm trying to run the video, and now it's getting stuck. Like it iterated through a couple of orchestrators, and now it's getting stuck on another, on Mike's node now. So
yeah, then Mike is the fastest node. So if you send more jobs and Mike cannot handle it, then you will get another overfed.
Yes, we like that. Mike's nodes and fast. Yes.
But hold on, wait. Mike's node's fastest, but it says error submitting request cap 29 model blah blah blah. Error total ticket EV is
Oh,
269 for 9 tickets is greater than total ticket EV of my two, I don't know how many. So
yeah, I know the error. It's always nice to have this. It's like a live demo you're doing now to have it go wrong. So basically, your broadcaster price total ticket AFA is too low for what you have to pay Mike. So he's asking too much money, I think. But the biggest problem here, I think, is that our selection algorithm doesn't remember that, maybe.
Okay, so he's asking for
But it,
too much money that I'm willing to pay.
yes, that's what I saw with this error. But it should eventually go to another orchestrator.
Wait, ticket EV 269 for 9 tickets. Total ticket EV is greater than total ticket EV.
I ran into the same thing yesterday, and I just upped my max ticket EV, and then it was problem solved.
On your gateway?
Yeah, this was before I updated to this latest version that you're running now, but I saw the same error yesterday.
I don't have a max ticket EV set, or even a max price per pixel set.
So there are two things here. So if your
Yeah,
ticket
function
EV
your
is
reserve.
A reserve too small?
We lost you, Rick. I lost you, Rick. Sorry.
I can't hear Rick.
no,
You
I
say
was
you
not
don't.
talking because
Did you say you don't have a max ticket EV set?
Yes, I don't have a max ticket EV or a max price per pixel. I have very little set, so I'm surprised at anything.
All right, I'll let Rick take this one because I can't remember the specifics on that one.
So there are a lot of things that can go wrong here still, and we're working on improving the experience here. From the transcoding network, the ticket FVs are a lot lower. So the Go Livepeer software has two limits. It's the total ticket AV you cannot go over. You can hire that as a gateway, but also the total number of tickets. So if you try have your ticket EV really low, for example 10, you cannot send enough tickets because the limit there is 150. So those are the two problems that are in there. So we could change the defaults to fix that.
I changed my ticket max total EV based on Brad's recommendation. On the orchestrator. On the orchestrator? You mean on the gateway?
Yeah. Sorry. I've got all kinds of flags on my test stuff.
John. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's max total EV is gateway now. Max
Got it.
ticket EV. Image to video requests go way above the defaults. Marco, he also got max total EV and then max ticket EV.
Yeah.
I'll put that one in too. Then.
So the max total ticket. So I think that's the, I forget which is one, but one is at 150. So if you need to send more than 150 tickets, your gateway will not accept that. And the other one, if you send more than the max total AV, then you will also not accept that your gateway.
Try these. I'm gonna try Marco's. He's got a higher number. No, he doesn't. John has a higher number.
So here there are two things that we also are planning to improve. Setting a ticket AV based per model. Currently, you can also only set your max ticket AV for all the models. And from the orchestrator side, we want to give the orchestrators the possibility to set their ticket AV based on broadcaster.
Wait. So what's my price per pixel then? I don't have that set.
That's currently not used. I think John was looking at that, but I think it's not used there. The check is checked, but it will not block anything, so that is not used. It's only for transcoding.
Oh, so the ticket, the price per pixel on the gateway is currently just accepting any price, no matter what.
If you don't set it, then that's the case.
No, but you're saying.
Oh no. Sorry, we're messing up two things. So from the orchestrator side and the gateway side. So the gateway side, if you don't set anything, you will accept any price, but you can set it. based on, I forget which flag, maybe Brad or John knows it. So I think it's the, let me double check that it's in the docs.
I just have mine set to no one just cranks it up and takes the curve.
And you said it in the public chat.
Uh-oh. Okay, now I'm gonna change it.
The numbers are pretty high, but yeah, my broadcaster, in order to go like to on-chain, these were the settings I had used. Basically what Bear has there almost. Something.
Max price per unit. And
That was like the lowest number I could find on the network. It's like without the one.
pixels
So
per
there's another. So there's another thing that we are planning to do, but we have to solve the conflict with the main brand is having it in US dollar there to make it easier, similar to the normal transcoding style.
pixels per unit is gonna be right.
Yes.
Max
or
price
otherwise.
per unit. Wonder if that is that enough to kind of cover everyone's max price per unit? John, is that enough to cover basically everyone on the network right now?
No, it's probably just Marco and a few others, I think.
Just
If I remember
I'm just
correctly.
gonna add a 0. Like I don't mind paying.
Yeah.
I just don't want someone to literally just spike it up to like something that drain me.
Yeah, Papa Bear's number is probably not terrible either.
I was running into issues early on with having it be too low, so I put it up to those numbers, and the ticket EV I had it slightly lower yesterday, and then it was like it was like 890, it was like 850 or something like that, and then I just made it at the beginning it was 8, and then I just replaced 850 with 9s. That wasn't a huge difference from what it was. It said what I needed to send, and it was like 899. I was like, all right, I'll give them an extra something just in case I run into someone else.
I think we can get some recommendation on this to make your work easier.
Yeah, if it could come with a recommendation or maybe just a default value that is work.
Yeah, I can set the defaults. That's the reason I did not yet do that is for merging it back with main brands, but I will keep a note of it.
Let's see, it's loaded up. Somebody's doing that.
Mike again, though.
Let's see, no orchestrators found. Increasing timeout to 1 second. Time 5 responded. Could not there. Connected to there. Who did it send? New payment paid to that's me. Okay. Me? Send another one.
So we see
Okay, this
nothing.
is B79. Yeah, no. So 1 to me, 1 to B79.
That's me.
1 to C7F. Whoever ends in C7F.
That Papa Bear? No.
No, it's either Zoop or Pawn.
I hear my fans burning.
Same.
And now I sent another one, but I sent it close. Created a new payment to B79, but this time it didn't work.
Yeah, C7F is Zode.
Cool. So that one worked this time.
Yeah, I see it going through.
Yeah, oh, there we go. Great. Okay, I got Zode working.
Thank you.
There
Appreciate it.
I think he might have been the one that was giving me problems yesterday too.
And B79 is okay. Cool. Hey, we're working right now. We're working. Zode is working on one. I sent another one to Brad. I got a 3090, so it's just the slowest in the group, so it just doesn't come up available very much. But
Yeah, me as well. But I have my price at 0. So.
yeah, I got my price at like 1. No, hopefully somebody wins a ticket from my deposit at some point here. So I now have the ability to have multiple people use Let's Generate.ai.
Yeah, in collaboration with Brett. Brett did a lot of the work as well. So, and I think Brett tested it with 200 or something. You said requests per minute. I don't.
Yeah, I was running tests just using the ByteDance model because it's fastest. I don't really want to wait 30 seconds for every generation when I'm testing this, but I sent 200 using 7 workers, and it took about 90 seconds to process all of them. But they all processed without retries on my end, so that means the selection's refreshing, suspension's working, at least as far as I can tell, and that they all completed.
That was the image to video.
No, that was text to image. Image to video takes way too long. That would take 30 seconds times 200.
So that's
Probably.
the. Yeah, in the proposal
And
we have.
I don't have my price set very high on mine. So I was trying to keep the logs to myself so I could
That's
actually
probably
see
why
what's
I've never paid
happening.
you, Brad, but I've paid out tickets. I paid Marco several tickets.
I
Yeah.
think
I
mine's
think a couple
I
is
think mine's at 100,000 or something. It's just something. It's not nothing, but it's not 2 million or whatever.
No, I think I
you know,
think our.
speaking of all this AI stuff, sorry, I had a question for Rick. You were not recommending SFast at one point. Is that? And I didn't understand the reason why. Is that?
Oh yeah,
Can you explain that?
that's a really good point. So I will add it more clearly in the documentation. So the SPAS method, how it works. So there are a lot of optimizations that we can still do in the pipeline. But this one is a little bit particular because it pre-traces the network. So, but it has to pre-trace it for
But wait,
combinations.
it pre-trace. What does that mean? Pre-trace? You say pre-traces?
Yeah, so mainly what that means is that it already does one request through the network so that it knows how the network is connected and that it can compile it, pre-compile it in a sense, if you, to make it easier without going into too much depth. So that will make it a lot faster there, or it lost 25% on the image to video pipeline. The reason that we don't recommend doing it on the text to image is that the results are less and you have to pre-trace multiple arguments there. So for example, you have to pre-trace for every height and width and also every bed size. So if you increase the height or the width, then your network will grow as well. And if you increase the bed size, your network will grow. So it has to retrace. So every operation has to do some kind of retracing. And we currently don't have the pre-tracing implemented at node startup because that would take a lot longer and the benefits for text to image are lower. So that's why we recommended to only do it on the image to video, because in the image to video we do the pre-tracing for you already and you have a speed up of 25%. So this SFast algorithm might not be the best optimization algorithm, and we have some other algorithms that we will be looking in the next phase that might yield better results without doing this much work with pre-tracing.
I think it's a little over my head to totally understand it completely, but because I
Oh yeah.
have SFast turned on. Yeah, I have SFast turned on for the real viz model. I should turn that off then? You're saying?
No, if it's already pre-traced, then
Is
there's no problem. But the problem here is that it has to pre-trace it. We don't do the pre-tracing. So pre-tracing, you can see this as doing a pre-compilation. That's the easiest way to understand it. So it knows how the network behaves, so it can be faster. So we do that step in the image to video already. So when you start it up, we will do some routes through the network. So we send some requests so that the SFAC algorithm can see what the network looks like and it can speed up the request. For the text to image, there are multiple or more ways to send requests, more parameters there. So that makes it a little bit harder because you also have to pre-trace it for the bed size. So, but after you receive the request, for example, from the D app from Tsunami, if they send you the same request, so a bed size of 3, and I think they use like a 512 image height and height, you will be faster. But the first time you get the request, you will be slower because it's also doing the pre-tracing. So that's basically, if I remember the numbers correctly,
I
for
see.
one batch.
Okay.
One batch is 1 second normally, and then we say after as fast as pre-traced it for 2 times, it will be around 0.5. But the first request when doing pre-tracing will be, for example, 8 seconds. So you will be 10 or 8 seconds, you will be slower than the other guys, so you will get your latency lower at that time. So, but if it's already working, you will be faster.
Now I understand it. All right.
Yeah, it's not an easy algorithm, this optimization algorithm. For example, we have another one, Tensor RT, we're going to look at that might be easier to work with. I have not checked it out because then you in the Docker container, you enable that and it should work on some upper operations without me going through that.
Got it.
So I will update the documentation to make this more clearly. So don't enable it for text to image, only for image to video.
All right. Cool. Oh, we've been at this for an hour. Any more comments or topics around AI?
Has anyone had any luck with Windows yet? I've been documenting it, made pretty far through it, but curious if anyone's had any issues like loading models or anything. I saw Ben was working on something yesterday with WSL.
Pretty much. Oh, straight Windows or I was gonna say or WSL.
Yeah, Windows WSL2 and Windows. I think it's
Yeah, I
everywhere.
can. I mean, I've been having some issues there. I got everything up and running just on a test WSL instance, and I can get text to image to load. I can't get image to video to load. I just get an incompatible compatibilities error, and it doesn't look like it's loading two models. I have two separate 4090s, and it doesn't look like it's loading a model on each. It does load either the text to image or the image to video, but there's no memory utilization on the second GPU, so I don't know what it's doing. I'm actually in the middle of just doing a full Linux install on that machine, so I won't be able to test any more there. But I'm hoping that it was just a WSL issue, or at least I'll be able to find that out soon and figure out what I'm doing wrong here.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like what I was getting. I was getting a insufficient capacity error when trying to load any model, which I was pretty sure I had, access to them and everything. So had the volume mounted correctly. And, so I've just been playing around with that. Obviously, CUDA is loaded and running through Docker desktop. So I've documented a lot of how to get that far, but I'm also working with the RTX 5000 on this particular system. I'm not sure if that really meets the specs or not. Make it a 4090 put in there just to be sure.
Yeah, I found it really unusual that the text to image was working with 0 issues, but as soon as I went to image to video, it simply wouldn't work. Couldn't find orchestrators on the machine, even though it had a local gateway and a local orchestrator with the two 4090s. So a bit lost there, and I guess I'll find out if that happens again soon on a full Linux install.
Yeah, thanks for trailblazing that. It definitely got me thinking about it. I'm trying to get a production
if there's a
OS set up
bug,
myself.
yeah, if there's a bug or issue, I'll run into it.
Yeah, I think it's something related to WSL. It might even be it's not, assessing the capacity that it has very accurately within the WSL environment. Maybe my first guess, because I would think the RTX 5000 would be able to run it, but just, under just by a hair, basically.
Yeah, I don't know how AI is going to behave with WSL2, and this is sort of the main reason I'm moving to a full Linux install, just based on seeing transcoding with WSL2 and how abysmal that was. I don't know if there are some edge cases there with trying to do all that virtualization on Windows. So we'll find out soon, but I don't know. It seems a bit sketchy to run on Windows.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, that would be my ideal. But I'm trying to get production stuff going. I would definitely be working with Linux for now. Yeah, we've
Mike
been
made
trying
a
to
comment.
trailblaze that and made some documents, docs on it. Oh yeah,
Yeah, Mike made a
That's-
comment in the chat.
yeah, that sounds like that's what we're experiencing. Is it's just a little slower. It has higher resource requirements, and it may not even work with a 16 gig GPU or something. Like what I've experienced.
So if
Yeah,
it's
again,
slower,
zero issues with text to image. So like some of it worked. I don't know if it's an issue with what I've got going on or if it's WSL2. I don't want to put the full blame on WSL2 in case it does work. I'm just not really sure.
no, so it could be maybe we have some timeouts that still need to be fixed. Brett fixed one for the external containers. It could be that the timeout is being hit. So because if it's slower, that can happen.
Oh, like it's just going above 2 seconds to find it.
Yeah, that a timeout. There are multiple timeouts in the code, and that it could be hit if, like what Mike is saying, WSL on Windows, even Docker on Windows at best, it will just be slower, but it will probably won't be reliable or workable. So it could be that we hit a timeout. We are planning to release Windows documentation the 24th, but we just have to look at that already.
Yep. Yeah, appreciate you trailblazing that. It kind of gives me some, something to validate off of. It's not the primary thing I'm working on, but over the weekend I was trying to get something set up for production.
Yeah,
I
WSL2 is a
thought
bit of
Frank-
an illusion, I think, because it
Yeah.
feels like you're on Linux, right? Everything feels familiar, but behind the scenes, it's all just Windows jank.
I thought
Yeah, it was-
Frank had it running in Windows with WSL, but kind of just maybe I'm misremembering that, but I thought Frank had it working.
Yeah, and Jason
Yeah, I
as
thought
well.
so as well.
I mean, it's interesting. They've done a lot of optimization from the docs that I read where it's essentially running in Docker Desktop on Windows and WSL can interface with it. So you're not really installing CUDA toolkit and, Docker inside of your WSL environment. It's WSL is talking to the Windows environment. So I think that's optimal to a degree, but there's a lot of details to work out.
Well, I do have working in WSL2, but when it's on chain, I'm not receiving any like jobs. I don't know if it's the issue with like the ports or like gateway something. I just I don't know. I have it running, but I don't get any jobs. So I don't know. It was working when Papa Bear tried it, I think. Like, and also Marco, I think, when we tested it, but no, it doesn't seem to get anything. But yeah, it's loading fully, and I think it is working fine. Just like loading.
Were you able to demo a image to video job and get that working?
Image to video, no. The text to image only. But yeah, I could try
Okay,
and
yeah,
see if
that's
it's an issue here.
yeah, that would be awesome if you want to give that a shot. That's where I got stuck and frustrated. I am wondering that maybe WSL2 is slowing down selection for you. Like your
Okay.
GPUs aren't as powerful as maybe they are supposed to be. And that's why you're not getting any jobs. Just based on what I saw with transcoding, I don't know if that carries over,
Okay.
but I could be
Maybe.
completely wrong.
So Mike says,
Jason, have you run the benchmark that I made to see what the time your GPU?
Yeah, I had it, but like it was missing some of the benchmarks. I don't know why. There was some error regarding like. But I did have a benchmark, and it was running like the text to image was quite fast, but
Did you register
I have
your
to
org
check
on
everything
chain?
again. It was like a long time ago, so
you did register your orchestrator, your AI orchestrator on chain, correct?
Wait, we can do that?
Yeah.
Where? How? I haven't looked at the doc.
Sir, have you read the docs? Goodness
No.
gracious.
Yeah, if you're not on chain, you're not going to get any work from my orchestrator because all I use is the on chain registry.
Is someone talking that I'm not hearing? Because what are you guys talking about?
I'm talking. Hear me?
Yeah, Zoop and Titan.
I can hear
talking.
you, but it
You
sounded.
can hear me?
Oh, it sounded like you were talking in response to someone else. And oh, Zoop's in here. I can't hear him.
Yeah, I'm talking. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
This is like a cell phone commercial.
This is
Okay,
hilarious.
well,
But Titan's talking.
that's funny.
Can you not hear
I
him
was
at
just,
all?
yeah. I heard Titan talking and responding. It was like I don't know who he's responding to. I didn't hear anything, but it must be something on my end. So I'll just be quiet and see what I can glean from the one side of the conversation.
Okay, so do you just go into your orchestrator live and
No, there's Rick posted an article that has the steps you can do. Like you can install
Yeah.
some software or you can load your wallet and go. Yeah, there it is. He posted the link. There's 2 ways you can go about registering it.
on-chain setup? Here we go. Sure.
You're gonna do that now, Titan.
Am I?
Or
the AI fund this, do this, launch. This is for setup. Launch your AI gateway. I don't want the gateway. The orchestrator.
Yeah, I was looking, trying to find those notes, but
they're here.
I
Here we go. This is the
perfect.
one I want. Advertise your
So,
AI
yeah.
service URI. That's it.
Yeah, so everybody that's joining the subnet, you have to write your service URI to the contract. Also for our gateways, they're now only on the Discover algorithm. We don't use hard-coded URIs.
That was good for the pre-alpha testing, but I think now everybody's switched over to on-chain addresses. All the gateways are using on-chain addresses.
Okay, so service, the AI service, connect wallet. I'm going to set the service URI just like the transcoding one. So is this a different smart contract?
Yes, so it's a copy of the same smart contract. So the only difference. So
Right.
the only difference here is that we didn't deploy a proxy and it's not connected to the controller.
Okay. So this.
So I checked Jason's orchestrator and it's in there. So the service URI.
You have to put the HTTPS.
But you.
And there's a different tab there for the Arbitrum Explorer as an option too if you have like MetaMask set up. Makes it a little easy.
936, I think is the default. Double check. Yeah, okay, great. I'm just gonna do it right now. Watch this.
Yeah, we cannot watch it.
I don't really want you to watch it, to be honest. This is private information.
I will check if it's working for you.
Here we go.
I can do that.
HTTPS, set service URI, write contract, hit the approve, hit the confirm. There we go. View your contract address. If anyone wants to see a copy of it, there it is. Okay, that's my transaction.
You're in there. I saw it. You're in there.
You know what? I noticed that Jason, your URI doesn't have the HTTPS in there when I'm looking at the registry. That may
Does
explain
that
why you're not getting any
cause
jobs.
an issue? Because I was looking at the conversation and it, like, I think it was Brad. Someone said like it automatically puts the HTTPS on.
Don't think it's there.
Yeah, I would put it
No,
in. I had
okay.
problems when I
I'll
didn't
have to
have
change
it.
then.
I've tried it without.
I noticed a
for
few people are like
transcoding,
that
and it
too.
won't work. Back in the day, this was years ago, I was doing transcoding, and I know that if you don't put in the HTTPS, it doesn't errors out.
Yeah, so if you do off-chain things, if you do that wrong, it will not work. So I don't know how it goes with on-chain. For example, if I try to communicate with the org state correctly, I have to do it on HTTPS, and if I try to communicate with the gateway, I have to do it on HTTP when I'm off-chain. So
Yeah, I just think your on-chain service URI, like what's on-chain needs.
yeah, I think that as well.
So if,
Otherwise, you get the SSL problem. There was an SSL problem that you're trying to access an SSL endpoint, but you're not having the right connection. That was the error I got. So if that's wrong in the documentation, I have to update it. Let me double check.
as for the documentation, launch your set your service URI right. Verify. Yeah, I mean, even in your example on your screenshot, you put HTTPS and then, enter your public URL and your port. I think the docs look good. I mean, I already know how to do the Arbiscan updating service URI before, so it take me very long, but your example, at least your screenshot is correct. Your screenshot is correct, and yeah, you don't explain, but I don't think that's.
No, I can add the comments there with the service URI and just say a state example in there. It's nice. I will do that.
Yeah, if you just want under section 4, call service URI function, you could just put like, set the service URI function, input the service URI, maybe in like a note or a brackets, like include the HTTPS.
I will do that.
That would be helpful because yeah, people will set that and they won't include the HTTPS, and I've had that.
Yeah, notice that the docs also mentioned the max ticket EV option
there
that you
it
can
is.
use there on the orchestrator side. Yeah, so that'll be helpful.
Yeah, I have
Right.
not. I kudos to these docs though; they look good. This is the first time I've looked at them, so kudos.
Thank you.
Just updated the service URI if anyone's seeing the
Take a look here.
registry.
57 seconds ago. Take a look.
So I sent a lot of requests, around I think 20 or 40 now
HTTPS
to the network.
done. Okay, good. Looks good.
So you should get requests.
Wait, so on my gateway node, I don't have to specify the orc addresses anymore, right? Because it's on.
That's correct. Take that out.
Ah, see, this is the problem I've been, because I've had this, from our AI subnet chat, manually adding people. Get rid of that now. Hey, that's a bit cleaner. A lot cleaner.
Yeah, so you will get nice performance now because you can have a lot of requests. I thought I mentioned that we fixed the discovery.
Hey, I'm in and out sometimes.
No problem.
I do the best I can with what I got. But I got another baby coming in 4 weeks. So, lots of preparation going.
Congratulations.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, second one. Second one.
So I think
MIA next month.
More like TIRED.
Wait till they turn 12, then you'll be MIA.
Turn 12? What? You have 12 kids?
No, I meant wait till the kids turn 12, then you'll really be MIA.
Yeah, I'm assuming you have a 12-year-old then?
No, just nieces who were pretty cute when they were born, and then they turned 12 and it was really annoying.
There you go. Cool. All right. Well, I'm really happy that we are using the on-chain registry now. let's just take a quick testy.
Yeah,
Ooh,
also
works
maybe you missed it
beautifully.
as well. So you also don't overpay anymore with your broadcast. You only pay for the request that orchestrators do.
Great. Done. Okay, so that's that. We'll try another. This one's going to self. Do another one. This one's going to B79. Another one. This one's going to. So there's only 3 people in the network that I can. Zodap, Brad,
Yeah,
and
so
myself.
yeah, so Brett has a nice pull request that I want to get in that you can use the clients to see which orchestrators have which one.
Oh, that would be nice, because then I would know, like, am I getting rejected because I have a wrong configuration, or is there literally just 3 orchestrators on the network willing to accept work?
Yeah, I wanted it in this week, so I can do it.
Right. Is anyone else running on the subnet the ByteDance image video? They're not the 3 people. Brad, Mike.
ByteDance?
Yeah.
Which one? The image to video.
Yeah.
So
Image
not a
video
stable.
stability. Yeah, stable diffusion.
Oh yeah, which model 1.1 or the normal one?
1.1.
Yeah, I had a failover for that one as well, but currently it's not on.
Yeah,
So there should be not many people there.
Oh, sorry, not by. Yeah, stability. Yeah, it's sorry. Stable
We know what you
diffusion
meant.
1.1.
The video one.
Yeah. So ByteDance is
Yeah.
we're using for text to image.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's 3 of us running stable diffusion 1.1 right now. Papa Bear, are you running any image to video stuff?
I switched over to RealViz at the request of the Tsunami guys or guy and gal to just to give them. But I think several people have switched over now, so I don't know if I need to still be running that. I was running the video one until then, so. But no, I am not running it currently.
So just to reiterate, Rick, in the future, what will happen is Papa Bear would maybe unload his the one he has loaded and load up the image to stable diffusion 1.1 to handle my request then.
So yeah, you can do that already. So what it will do, it has 2 pools. It has a warm pool. That one is get selected first. So first it looks for all the orchestrators in the warm pool. If that fails, it should go to the cold pool. And could be multiple people that have 1 CPU on cold loading, and they can load any model. But the currently loading of the models is somewhat slow. But for an image to video job, it could be fast enough that you could cold load that. For example, I have not looked at the latest time of loading a cold model on my GPU. But if it's around 4 seconds, what I think is reasonable, and your request is 30 seconds, you just have 33 seconds, so you will still get the request. For example, for the text to image pipeline, it's a lot harder because the request times are for a batch of 3 are around the 6 seconds mark. So if you have to load for 4 seconds, then 6 seconds, you see that you will lose to the other guy. So you could use one GPU, you set it up for cold loading models that take a little bit longer and still get the request. And we're planning to optimize the loading so that you can do it for more models. So you can have your orchestrator advertise multiple models, as many as possible, and can still cold load them and serve this request and then unload them. And that's something we plan to do in the next day.
So Pablo, you don't have the stable diffusion 1.1 cold loaded then? You don't have it.
Well, I have the other one set as warm, so it won't switch over right now. Now
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of requests coming in for the RealViz stuff, so I don't know if it's still required or requested of me. Be happy to run the other one, but I just wanted to make sure that Tsunami always had someone to an available machine to hit. But Is anyone else on this call running the RealViz model worm?
I have it on
I
14090.
mean, I know that. Brad's got everything running. um,
But I'm confused
again,
then.
I'm
So
happy to switch to whatever's best for the team, but I just I went with the last request I got.
but
So
you won't ever you have the Stable Diffusion 1.1 listed as cold option big file though. Where?
You're asking me in my config file that I'm running, do I have that as an option that's just not running warm?
Yes.
Like, do I have that just, yeah, but it gets ignored if it's got a warm model in there.
Oh, so it
there's
won't.
no current.
So Rick, you're saying in the future it will dynamically switch potentially?
No, there's it can already dynamically switch. But if you have currently you can do only one model per capability there, but it should do a cold model as well if you have it a different pipeline. So per pipeline you can only do one currently.
Wait, okay, I'm still.
Like for a while I was running nothing warm and I was just letting it just go to whatever request I got.
Oh, so if you
But,
don't run anything warm, it's just going to dynamically load whatever request comes in, and hopefully you get chosen. Point.
Right, but then
Yeah,
you'll
but
be in the second that cold pool that Rick was mentioning earlier. So you're like,
yeah,
that's if no one has it warm and ready to go and available, then it'll go to the cold pool to select from that pool.
And if you don't,
but you
have a warm, but if you have a warm model loaded, it won't ever. If you have the warm flag
Unload that.
posted, it will never ever dynamically
It will not
unload.
unload that.
Okay. So when you put the warm flag, you're opting in for performance, but opting out of dynamically loading anything else
on that GPU currently, yeah.
on that
That's
GPU.
fine.
Okay.
So there is a note about this. I will send you the documentation. So maybe it's not in the right spot, but here's the documentation about the cold loading behavior.
So if I have a 3090, maybe it's worth me just like not having a warm model loaded, and then just when all the warm models are overloaded,
Being used.
I'm willing to. Hey, I'm slow, but I'll get the job done. Like I'll get there. Let me load the model and slowly do the work. And hey, if I can get it done eventually, maybe that's okay.
Yeah, so you can do that. So I would not advise doing that for the text to image because you will be a lot slower.
Right.
But for all the other pipelines, I think, or at least if you do it for the image to video and you have one GPU that you do the cold loading, then you can do that. Because it's basically what our failover service also does. For example, when we currently have one implemented, it will load up an 800, and it can load up 10 800s, and it will keep it warm for 5 minutes, unless no request comes in there after that.
So maybe, maybe my 3090 could be this GPU that I just load up all the different image to video models, none of them loaded warm, and yeah, it's the buckshot. It has the ability to, spray, get all the jobs on the network that want image to video, but that the whole network just can't do warm currently. So willing to take up the slack so that at least the job will get served at some point.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, if you can buy an 800, you cannot, I think, with the price, but then you will can even cold load it because it will be so fast doing the request. Then I think it's around 30. The last one is at 23 seconds. So then your loading time will be less than another orchestrating having it warm.
Sorry, what's it, 800? Say it again.
Yeah, the 800 of 800 server GPUs. If you load it on that one, the request will be done, I think, in 23 was the fastest I saw. The other one was 30. You know it better, I think. But you
Okay.
can imagine that with cold loading these models on like a server GPU, you will be faster than, for example, my 390 that has to do the image to video job in 60 seconds. You still will
Right.
be faster.
It's still faster to just to load the model and do the inference, because the inference is so fast that it'll beat everyone who's warm loaded anyway.
Yeah, so if you have server GPUs that are that fast or the new 200, yeah, then of course you don't have to add for the image to video pipeline, you don't have to warm load it at all.
Well, then maybe that would go in the contrary to what I was saying. A 3090 is so slow, it needs to be warm loaded. Otherwise, you just can't even compete.
You will be chosen in the warm pool, in the cold pool, but it will not compete with a cold server GPU 800. But I think we go too much depth here.
Okay. Well, no, I'm just thinking of strategies like where does a 3090 belong in this because it's the slowest of all the GPUs that can do image. So, where does it belong, right? Belong with the big boys? Is it put it on obscure things so that you can do it, but people lower? I don't know. But
So I have it currently running warm on text to image. So it will be slower than the 490, but there are many more text to image requests coming in, so it will get chosen from the pool eventually.
Right.
So I still get chosen a lot. I think I'm the first, not the first one, but after Marco, I don't know what he's running, but from my test, I was chosen the 4th time because the other guys were already overloaded. So I think that will be the best strategy there, currently with the current network stack.
You're just putting it on text to image. But I can put text to image on my 16 gig card, so I'd rather just put that on there and then video on 24. I don't know.
I think some of those image, well, I guess I think Brad actually mentioned it back, or ran into some issues where doesn't the don't so some of the text to image models take up more space than the image to video model we have? I don't know if Brad's still here.
Yeah, I'm still here. That RealViz model is heavy. I don't know that you'll be able to run that on a 16 gigabyte card. It takes up all of my memory on my 4090. The
Yeah, 20
ByteDance
gig.
model can run on 16 gig cards, but
If
you'll
you don't,
need like my patch that processes the batch sequentially and not all at once.
that's a good point. So that one we need to get into the algorithm as well. So for lower cards, it's better to just do sequentially.
There's a lot of nuances to all this.
But that's okay. We
The Titan's looking for. Would someone have a just definitive answer for Titan? I can tell he doesn't seem set. He wants to set his card up for wants to know what he should put his 3090 to sit at.
no. I don't want a definitive answer. I'm just trying to explore. It's like theories.
Well,
A
no,
theory
I'm saying,
crafting.
didn't you want it? Like, yeah, exactly. That's what I kind of meant. Just like, what would be the best model for a 3090? I guess just regardless.
But it seems as though just different strategies that are going to come about, and it'll be interesting to see what dApps want in terms of speed and quality and cost, the network willing to do, and I don't know how we can optimize that. And it's just so early. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think that sums it up nicely. So that's in the proposal. There are a lot of things that we have to do to get to this phase where it's more optimal. And yeah, the strategy will change if we optimize our pipeline.
When is that time? Is that time that that timeout. Say you wanted 30 seconds, you're willing to wait. The gateway comes back and says available. Is that a flag that's already enabled, or is that
So no, I have code in the comment here, but I can implement it. I was just looking at what's the best way to implement. So as a gateway, I think you can advise me a little bit about that. So there are two ways to do this. You can have gateways specify this waiting time at startup, but I don't think that's the best way. You can also have the D app say, I'm willing to wait this long. I think that's a more better way there. But I've not discussed it with the team yet. So I did some prototyping there. So for example, if you can see if Sunanim knows that it can only wait for 10 seconds, because otherwise it will lose clients, it can already say after 4 seconds, I have no request coming in. I'm going to use a failover service from a provider and still get a request in so that my client is satisfied. And that also ties to another point that we will merge in the next weeks. That's my feedback from the broadcaster to like the clients that state how far the inference request is ahead. So you can see that, for example, after 4 seconds, the orchestrator is only at 20%. You can decide, I want to try another one. So I think that's a better way than having this set in the broadcaster. But how would you envision using it? I'm really interested as a gateway.
Yeah, I don't know. What I was gonna do is right now. I think it just after 2 seconds, it basically pops back and says, "Hey, there's nothing available." So I was going to put that into a loop and say, "Okay, let's wait, 5 seconds and send off the request again, and what happens." And put that into a loop, and create a timeout for myself. So all the logic on my side was I was gonna handle that, as long as I know that the gateway node is giving me back, correct information after seconds. And so, that's just what I was going to do in the meantime. But if I could add a parameter in there and say, hey, listen, here, take this request and this is how long I'm willing to wait for a timeout. And what it does is hopefully it will pick up. I don't know. I don't think that's a flag that you should set on the gateway, because each job is going to have a different requirement.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, actually. But yeah, the logic.
So that was what. So yeah, my thought about that was that there are two things that we can do here. Of course, we can improve the selection algorithm to do it faster. So if we optimize the selection algorithm, it can try more orchestrators at once. Or we reassign it and we do like a more pool-based request that before selection that an orchestrator is available, but you have some other technical problems to solve there. But I think from the D-app side, it will be nice to have to be able to say, I'm only willing to wait for 30 seconds for the request. And all the rest just give me it back.
And like in the case of let's generate. I guess the question becomes, okay, let's say that I want to wait 30 seconds. Is that 30 seconds for the total job to complete, or is that just 30 seconds I'm willing to wait for the selection to?
No, that will be your total job time, because essentially like the app, it should not have to know about the selection algorithm. It just wants something back in time.
But it's nice
And
to know.
otherwise, use the fail.
But it's nice to know. I mean, either way, however you build this, I can always just say like, do your initial selection. If you can't find anything, I'll just retry a couple more times. But what it does is it allows me to sit here and go, okay, I know the job is getting processed. Whereas if I know the job hasn't even started processing yet, maybe come up with different logic around what to show a user or
Yeah, so that's the feedback item that we want to implement. So that you will get like a message back starting in famous request. They usually 20%. 30%, 100, and then you get your limit.
Because if I know jobs can get, you know, a image to video job can get done in 30 seconds, but and I have like a 60-second wait time, it would be good to know like 30 seconds of that was waiting for the network to take my job because it's overloaded. Whereas if it gets a job, you know, if a orchestrator receives a job, it just takes them 60. That means something different to me, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So for me, I'd probably I'm gonna leave it at the default of just, you can't find an orchestrator in the first 2 seconds, like just return back to me that you can't find anything, and I will just deal with the logic I want to have happen. I probably wouldn't use the built-in orchestrator or gateway timeout thing. You know, just
No,
just
yeah,
off
I had
the
the
top of
same
my head.
feeling. I had the same feeling about it. I think the feedback is way more important because you don't pay anymore for this request, so you can just try how many you want.
Because I'm thinking of like my little app I'm thinking about building where, you know, like a 2-minute video and you press down a 2-hour meeting, you know, 30 or 40 image to video jobs getting pushed through currently. And, you know, you just feed them through until you hit the max, and then just, okay, I'll, you know, as soon as I hit that limit, I'll just keep retrying every 3 to 5 seconds. And, you know, just keep feeding them through as the network's willing to accept them and room. And then at the end, I will have done all the logic on my side to say, hey, this is how I can stitch them all together and end result.
Makes sense. So you also, I have to go now. So I think
Yeah. Well,
if there,
I see we can talk about this for a very long time. Lots of content for water coolers coming up. So I think we'll conclude the AI portion of this. So either way, thank you, Rick, for joining us and having a discussion. Great feedback.
yeah, no problem. And look at the proposal, pre-proposal. If you have any feedback, let us know on the forum or in the chat. If anything is unclear, just ask me or the other guys on the team.
Right. Cool.
Have a nice evening, morning, afternoon.
Cheers. Okay, a couple more topics. One is around the transcoding. So we'll do that, of course, on this. There was a big amount of job loss or something going on. Something happened. Does anyone know what happened with the amount of jobs going up or down, or happened there? I feel like there was.
Are you talking about the post that Eric made that expect less jobs over the weekend, and he'll fill us in sometime this week? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, that was it.
Other than what Eric has written, that's all I know, which is not much.
And has anyone had any issues with the new update on adjusting your price per pixel to USD pegging? That running quite smoothly for everyone?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
I mean, the only issue is my dashboard doesn't show the price, but I understand there is an update if you're running a non, like one of the nightly builds, or I don't know if it's nightly build what they call it, but one of the unofficial builds addresses that. So I assume it's coming in the next release.
Oh, is
If
that?
that matters to you.
Okay. Because yeah, it's just showing 0, and I was like, that's confusing. Okay.
Yeah, mine seems to, I think, just kind of show the last price I was using at the time I switched over. I don't know where it gets that info from, but it seems like what I'm getting.
Great. Okay. Good to hear that's working.
But as far as functionality goes, it seems to be working. Yeah.
Right. Okay, last topic, real quick, was around address poisoning. For those that you did see, I posted a general chat around this. Lost $68 million. It was exactly 1,155 Bitcoin wrapped to Bitcoin on Ethereum. Got fished. So, yeah, it's an interesting scam. What they do is, I don't exactly know how. I know how it works. I just don't know what the technique is. But what it is they you receive tokens, I guess, wrapped to Bitcoin from like a smart contract or from an exchange or something like this. And oftentimes people want to send tokens back to that address if it's your exchange. Because the exchange address doesn't change. So you think, okay, I need to send it back. And so I don't know why you would do this, but apparently people go to like Etherscan and copy the last transaction they did that like came from the exchange. They copy that address and then send tokens back. But what they do is there's a bunch of fishers that will they'll what is it called? They'll dust your account with transactions that have a very similar address to the address that you received the tokens from. So in this case, actually the 5 trailing letters and numbers were identical. And you can do this through, I think, mining. You literally can just mine addresses to find ones that are similar.
There's websites you can go to. Those are considered vanity addresses, and you can put in what you want, like the either I think the beginning or the ending to be. I guess most people go by the ending digits, and
Yeah.
I know that there are sites that offer that as a service.
Yeah, and they're very insecure. From my understanding, vanity addresses should not be used to hold like any amount. You want to do it for fun, like
Yeah, I think they're mostly used for the reason. I think they're mostly used for the reason that you're mentioning right now. I don't
yeah.
think people are
So
really using them because they want to. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, they apparently they're more insecure. I know that, but I know that they use them, yeah, for these phishing attacks. So they just dust your account with addresses that look like funds come from a similar account. Anyway, this person, they sent over 1,000 wrapped Bitcoin to this address, but it wasn't the correct one. And so yeah, it's just a reminder that in crypto, make sure you're checking not only the trailing 4 letters, but maybe the leading 4 or 5 characters as well. So checking the front and the back of the address. Now, if you're sending an amount that you don't care to lose, maybe $10, or you're sending okay, careful, but yeah, if you're sending $68 million in one transaction, I would recommend like maybe having someone sit beside you and like also verify the address you're sending. Maybe send one transaction at a time at $1 million per transaction, or like divide them up. I don't know. There's like many different ways to prevent getting scammed. This individual, oh yeah, poof. Just a reminder.
I'll throw this out there then too. There is some there's some malware that's been around for a while too. That if you copy an ETH address, or I guess a Bitcoin address, or any kind of crypto address, if you are infected with this malware, it recognizes that you've copied a crypto address, and it will change the address when you go to paste it from what you copied. So I don't recommend, or if you do copy and paste addresses, double check those as well, because that's another scam that's been going around for a bit too.
You can just save addresses in Metaverse, right? So first time you do it, just save it with a friendly name. Might be easier than looking at the first one every time. But Jesus, $67 million. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 67 million. That's like, no matter what, if I was
I'll
sending
get a
that
few
much, I'm
friends
sending a
to
test
count each
transaction first. I
alphabet
don't care.
with those amounts. Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody comments were basically like, some people just have too much money, not enough. Yeah, either way, just a reminder, you know, Papa Bear's fishing and this phishing attack, this poisoning address, like it would be really tragic to see people in our community lose funds, hard work. You know, I think just protecting what you have built so far and protecting yourself and being aware of these things is really important. Yeah, be diligent, slow down. If you're unsure, like just ask somebody in the community or think twice or just whatever. Get some help from people you yeah.
Do not open a support ticket in a Discord anywhere.
Please. Yeah. Like yeah, don't connect wallets to support tickets from unsolicited DMs. It's like a pretty good yeah. Anyway, stay safe. Is what okay. Any other topics before we sign off?
Yeah. Was the and I know this was to do with the DAO meeting, but was this related to this? Because you said there was a wallet compromise. I
No,
missed
that
that
was
down.
unrelated. That was one of the I think one of the DAO members has a compromised wallet and he's DAO. So I'm gonna talk about what we're going to do for updating addresses in the DAO or how we want to handle that and how we verify that and stuff. So cool. Okay. Well, let's end it there. Thank you everyone for coming to today's Water Cooler chat. Trying to build the world's open and centralized video infrastructure. You know, transcoding and AI inference. So I appreciate you being here. We will see you all next week. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks.